The storm rolled in heavy that night, the kind of storm that pressed against the windows like a living thing. Claire stood alone in her kitchen, one hand wrapped around the stem of a wineglass, the other braced on the counter. The house was too quiet. Upstairs, Michael's muffled voice droned from his office. Another late-night business call. Another evening where she could have been a shadow and no one would notice. Her reflection in the darkened glass startled her. Pale skin, tired eyes, hair pulled into a messy bun. When had she stopped recognizing herself? She took a sip, willing the numbness to spread. That's when headlights cut through the rain. Her neighbor's driveway lit up, and a truck door slammed. Out stepped Noah, her neighbor's son, 19 now. Taller, broader, his hoodie clinging to him as rain soaked through. She remembered him as a boy, running across the yard with a football tucked under his arm. But this was not that boy. This was a man, and when he paused on the porch, glancing across the street, their eyes locked through the rain-streaked glass. Claire's heart skipped. She turned away too quickly, pretending to fuss with the wine. Pretending she wasn't shaken. The next morning, she told herself she'd imagined it. But the memory clung to her. It clung harder a few days later when a knock echoed at her door. She opened it to find Noah holding a plate of cookies, rain dripping from his hair. "Mom baked too many," he said, flashing that lopsided grin. She reached for the plate, her fingers brushing his. Just a touch. Just a spark. Her pulse betrayed her. Thanks, Noah. But he didn't leave. He leaned casually against the doorframe, hands tucked in his pockets. "You doing okay, Claire?" "You look tired." The words shouldn't have mattered. But they did. Michael hadn't asked her that in years. Her laugh came too fast. "Guess I could use more sleep." But his eyes didn't waver. Something had shifted. That night, Claire lay awake, staring at the ceiling, the echo of his voice refusing to fade. From then on, their paths crossed more often. Too often. He offered to mow her lawn when Michael was out of town. She gave him a soda afterward, sitting at the kitchen table while silence filled the spaces between words. The silence wasn't empty. It was heavy. One evening, he stretched in his chair and winced. "Practice is killing my back." The words slipped out of Claire before she could stop them. "I could help with that. Used to do it for Michael when he ran too much." The air stilled. Noah didn't smirk or make it awkward. He just nodded, steady. "Yeah, I'd like that." Her heart stuttered. He lay down on the couch, tugging his shirt halfway up. Claire sat at the edge, lotion bottle trembling in her hands. The first touch was careful, innocent. But when he exhaled, a low, relieved sound, the innocence cracked, her palms pressed gently, moving in slow circles, each second blurring the line between right and wrong, and then his hand shifted back, catching hers. Not forceful. "Just enough to hold, Claire," he murmured into the cushion. "You're the only one who notices me." Her chest tightened. She froze, wanting to pull away, needing to. But she didn't. She stayed until the air grew too thick, until her hands shook too badly to continue. When he finally left, she sat alone on the couch, heart pounding, terrified of what she wanted. That night, the storm inside her was louder than the one outside, and she hated herself for craving more. 2 weeks later, the storm returned. The house rattled with wind as Claire curled on the couch, a book open but unread. Then, 3 soft knocks at the door. She knew before she opened it. Noah stood there, hoodie damp, hair plastered to his forehead. "Power's out at our place," he said quietly. "Mom and Dad went to a hotel. I didn't want to sit alone." Claire's chest tightened. She should have said no, but she stepped aside. "Come in." The storm raged as he sank into the couch, rubbing his back. "That ache's worse tonight," he muttered. Her throat dried. Every warning screamed at her. But the words came anyway. "Lie down." Just for a little while, he stretched out, shirt lifting to reveal the smooth curve of his back. Her hands hovered, then pressed down gently. Warm. Alive. Her breath trembled as she worked slowly, every touch waking something she'd buried long ago. And then, his hand reached back, catching hers. Not pulling. Not forcing, just holding. "Claire," he whispered, turning just enough for their eyes to meet. "Why do we pretend we don't feel this?" Her body froze. Her mind screamed. "This is wrong," she whispered. But her voice cracked, because it wasn't just wrong. It was terrifying, thrilling, everything she'd starved for. The world seemed to stop. If he leaned closer, if she let herself fall, the line between them would vanish forever. Claire shot to her feet, arms wrapping around herself. "Noah, you need to go." The silence was unbearable. Then he nodded slowly, sadness flickering in his eyes. He left without a word. The door closed softly, leaving Claire alone in the storm. Her chest ached. Her skin still burned, nothing had happened, and yet everything had. That night, as rain pounded against the glass, she lay awake in the dark, trembling with the truth. She wasn't invisible anymore, and once you've been seen, truly seen, you can never go back to being a ghost. The storm had passed, but inside Claire it never stopped. Days blurred together. She went through the motions, coffee in the morning, errands, dinners Michael barely touched, but her chest carried a secret weight. Every time she glanced across the street and saw Noah's truck, her pulse betrayed her. She avoided him. She had to. But avoidance wasn't freedom. It was torment. Then one evening, as she folded laundry in the quiet, Michael walked in. His tie loosened, his face tired, but his eyes sharper than usual. "You've been different," he said flatly. Her hand stilled on a stack of shirts. "Different how?" He shrugged, gaze narrowing. "Distracted, distant, like you're somewhere else." Her throat tightened. For a moment she thought he knew, thought everything had already unraveled. But he only sighed, shaking his head, and left the room muttering about deadlines. The relief was sharp and fleeting. Because if Michael, the man who hadn't seen her in years, could sense something was off, then the truth was already seeping through the cracks. That night, she found another note slipped under her door. "I can't keep pretending, Claire. Not when I know you feel it too." Her hands trembled as she read it, her breath catching on the final line. "If this is the last time, just tell me." "I'll disappear, disappear." The word cut deep. She couldn't sleep. By morning, she found herself on the porch, sweater pulled tight, eyes fixed on Noah's house. He stepped out with his backpack, freezing when he saw her. For a long moment, neither moved. Then, slowly, he crossed the street. "Claire," he whispered when he reached her, rain dampening his hair. "Say it. Do you want me to stop?" Her lips parted. The right word, yes, sat on her tongue, begging to be spoken. It would end everything. Protect them both. But her chest burned, her body shaking with all the years of silence, of invisibility. Tears stung her eyes. "Noah, this can't happen. You have your whole life ahead of you, and me, I've already lost mine somewhere along the way." He reached for her hand, desperate, but she pulled back. "Don't," she whispered. "Because if you touch me again, I won't be able to stop." The truth cracked the air between them, heavier than thunder. For the first time, Noah's confidence faltered. His shoulders dropped, his eyes wet with something like grief. He nodded slowly, stepping back, each inch a knife to her chest. "I don't want to hurt you," he murmured, "but I can't keep pretending either. So I'll go." And just like that, he turned and walked away. Claire stood frozen on the porch, the storm inside her screaming louder than ever, because she knew he meant it. He would disappear, and she would return to the silence, to Michael's empty words, to a life that looked perfect from the outside but felt like ashes inside. Her heart broke, not for what had happened, but for what almost had. That night, lying beside Michael's sleeping form, Claire whispered to the darkness, "I just wanted to be seen." And in the hollow silence that followed, she realized the cruelest truth of all. Sometimes the most dangerous affairs aren't the ones you act on. They're the ones you never let yourself forget.